Traumagenic factors. How many of you have really kind of come aware of the role of trauma in the lives of the individuals that you work with? And it's a complex relationship because trauma in and of itself does not predict an adult substance use disorder. Everybody hear me? I mean, you would think so because we see so much of it. But the fact is, when we do community surveys, we find a large number of people who experience trauma, who in their adult lives have no psychiatric illness, who in their adult lives have no substance use disorders. So the question is, what's the difference between the trauma of those we see in treatment and those in the community populations that are so resilient? The question is not, did you experience physical, sexual victimization or trauma in childhood? But these questions. How old were you when the victimization started? What do we know? Lower the age of onset, what? Potentially the greater the trajectory of developmental effects. How long did it last? Was this a moment in your life, a day in your life, a week, a month, a year, or in our clients, we often hear what? I mean, we hear these complex, horrific things spanning years. Was there a single perpetrator or multiple perpetrators over the course of your life? If there's a single perpetrator, I learn what? This is a person I cannot trust. I need to protect myself. I can't be alone with this person, et cetera, as a strategy. If there are multiple perpetrators in my life, what do I learn? There is no safety. Everybody's on the make. And eventually I may begin to think about what? Maybe it ain't them. Maybe it's something about me. What was the relationship of the perpetrator to the family? The second, it's a family member or someone whose presence was sanctioned by the family. The larger impact of trauma dramatically escalates as opposed to a stranger. Greater violations of trust. Types of abuse. Is all abuse the same? If an adult exposed their genitals to me for their sexual gratification when I was 8 years old, never touched me, that is sexual abuse by any definition of that term today. If that same person sodomized me at age 8, that's also sexual abuse by any definition of that term. Are these different experiences qualitatively? The more boundary invasive forms of trauma have what? We tend to see have much longer trajectory in terms of effects. Here's what we don't know in the trauma research. What about people who have all these traumagenic factors and are resilient? Who don't have addiction in their lives? Who don't spend their lives in and out of psychiatric hospitals in their adult life? Who don't have these horribly toxic, violent, abusive relationships? And the answer is, we don't know. We got case studies, but we don't have the same kind of science. So here's another area where we know a lot about the pathology. We're starting to figure it out. What we don't know is the story of recovery and resilience at this point in time. So there may be, if we have individuals who have these traumagenic factors and don't have those resiliency factors, what can we predict? Long addiction career. And not only in addition to those risk factors, they have low recovery capital. Important term for these 2 days. Recovery capital is the amount of internal and external assets, resources I can mobilize to not only initiate my recovery, but to sustain my recovery over time in a natural community environment. Now, if I got low to moderate problem severity, everybody with me? Low to moderate, I still meet diagnostic criteria, but there's a huge gap of severity inside those. And I'm on the low to moderate end, but I bring a lot of recovery capital with me. What's my prognosis for recovery? Really good, and it's really good, by the way, without treatment. In fact, guess who? I can give you the highest recovery rates in the history of research. Physicians. Addicted physicians. High pathology rates. High risk of addiction. High prevalence of co-occurring psychiatric illness in that population. High opiate use in that population. Fairly high injection drug use in that population among the opioid users within that subgroup. They have incredible access to powerful psychoactive drugs, right? So there should be a lot of things that would compromise their recovery outcomes. They have professional and family enablers all around them, right? To protect them until very late stages of addiction. So why in the hell do they have the best recovery rates in the country? What kind of recovery capital do physicians bring to their recovery that many of our clients do not? They bring status. They bring a career. They bring incredible levels of financial resources that can buy them, in some cases, the best treatment this country has to offer. What else? Internal resources. They also bring a medical society through a physician's health program that will monitor them for how long? A minimum of 5 years. So tell me, what percentage of your clients have 5 years of post-treatment monitoring and support? And I'm talking about at admission. I ain't talking about discharge now. I'm talking about if they're admitted, they get 5 years of post-treatment monitoring and support. What? 0? Okay, we're coming back to that question, believe me, later. Okay.